Once again, good morning. Heizo Takenaka. The session is beginning. In this keynote session, we'll have Mr. Negroponte and Mr. Katz, very exciting speakers. I'm sure you're looking forward to their keynote speeches. But before that, I'd like to have a common understanding or a platform for the next 3 days' discussions. And for that purpose, partly in a fun way, I would like to have this city brainstorming session. I think you all have this small device in your hand, a remote control. So we're going to conduct a small survey so as to see where you stand on some issues. So this is going to be a trial question. For the future, do you think you personally have a better capacity to foresee the future, or do you think that you are inferior to others in forecasting the future, or none of the above? I hope you will avoid the third question as much as possible and try to see whether you are better than others or worse than others. This is anonymous. So 1, 2, 3. Better, worse, hard to say. 1, 2, 3. This is a trial question. Okay, what are the results, please? Thank you. What do you think of this result? 160 people consider them to be better than others. 57 think they are inferior. In other words, you are very confident and you make efforts. Great. In a way, you are arrogant. Okay. This is good information for all the speakers. Please keep this in mind, that this is your audience that you're speaking to. So about the cities. Okay, what is your answer to this question? Cities have various functions: economic, problem-solving question and capabilities, creativities, the cultural aspects. And you need to solve the crimes, poverty. You need to improve on your technology, build infrastructure. But overall, when we look at the global urban issues, definitions might vary. But do you think overall the global urban issues are getting better or worse? 1, improving. 2, worsening. In what direction do you feel cities are moving in relation to urban issues? 1 or 2? Wow. Wow, I am surprised. This is a natural result. No manipulation, no political pressure whatsoever. Exactly the same numbers, which means that there are two sides: expectation, hope, and worries. So I think it is worthwhile to talk about creative stuff, have creative discussions. Question 2. In 2020, the Olympic Games and Paralympic Games will be held in Tokyo. And the Mori Memorial Foundation, the Institute for Urban Strategies, do have the ranking. And this year, at 1:30 p.m. today, this year's results will be announced. So officially, it's not yet been announced. So as of 2020, currently Japan or Tokyo is ranked 4th. By 2020, do you think it will be higher, lower, or the same? The 4th place. What do you think? Currently, Tokyo is 4th. Do you think it will be higher, lower, or the same? The growth strategies of Abe administration uses this ranking as one of the key performance indicators. And one of the strategic goals of the government is to improve on this ranking. 140, improving. 47 will be lower. Well, how about percentage-wise? 56%, higher. Actually, we asked this question because we asked the same question a year ago and 2 years ago. And the results 2 years ago was 73% higher. Last year, down to 59%. So expectation declined. And this year, 56%. Whether this is a significant result or not is result. One thing for sure is that it's not increasing. Could be a warning in a way, but about 60% of the people are still expecting, hopeful. Next question. What is the most important element for Tokyo to seek the best city in the world? Last year, London was the best based on the index that I put together. New York was number 2. With 2002 London Olympics, London became number 1, a notch up from second. Third place, Paris, and a distant fourth, Tokyo. That was last year. For Tokyo to become on the top of this list, what's most important? Economic power, cultural power, technological power, or infrastructure development? Of course, they are all important, but of the four, what do you think is the most important? And this is the results. Overwhelmingly, number 2, cultural power needs to be enhanced. In other words, Tokyo is still lagging behind in terms of cultural power. Percentage-wise, this will be the breakdown. Culture, overwhelmingly large. 2 years ago, we asked the same question. Let's compare. Culture, 57% and 56%, about the same percentage. This is not a significant difference, I think. Slight decline in economic power, down from 19.6 to 16%. Could be because economy has improved somewhat over the last 2 years. Anyway, there are great concern in cultural power enhancement. That's for sure. I think this is surprisingly high percentage-wise, but this is a continuing trend. Next question. This is my personal interested question. Compasses are more important than maps. Resilience is more important than strength. Learning is more important than education. In today's world, you need to change your worldview. You need to have compasses, not maps. You need to have resilience, not strength. You need to learn rather than educate. I know all three are important, but if you are to choose from those three, if you are going to give one message to your child or grandchild, which one would it be? 1, 2, or 3? And the results are 1. Compasses over maps, 71% said so, 61 resilience over strength, and study over or learning over education, number 3, and this is the breakdown. Those 3 all come from MIT Media Lab. There are 9 messages, I understand. 3 of the 9 advocated by Media Lab. I know they're all important. I personally like number 1. I often quote this line. And Negroponte and Joy, what you think of this? I would be interested to hear your comments. They're all important, of course. MIT Media Lab have been advocating all 3 in very short, succinct terms. And I wanted to share that with you, and that's why I asked you this question. Learning, learning, learning. So in this session, I hope you will enhance your learning capabilities as well.
So we have a fifth question, and I'd like to skip that one. So you just think about it yourselves. Tomorrow, well, there's going to be the Industrial Competitiveness Forum, and I'm going to meet Prime Minister Abe tomorrow. It might be make things awkward if I know the result of this question, so I'll skip that and go on to question number 6. This is the last one, so I hope you will participate. Which of the following is more important for cities in the future? A perspective in art and design or a perspective in science and engineering? So this may be a little difficult to interpret, but please interpret yourselves and respond. Art and design or science and engineering? Please. Okay. Do we have the result? Oh, wow. So arts and design more important than science and engineering. Actually, when we asked the same question 2 years ago, it was like this. About half and half. Compared with 2 years ago, your interests have shifted more to art and design. So art and design is more important for cities' issues. And there are 3 program committee members who have organized this forum. And so I want to ask them to talk about this result and the sessions that they'll be in charge of. So, Mr. Nanjo, don't talk too long. 1 minute, please. I think that's a very good result. Oh, should I stand up? I think that's a very good result we just saw. So broadly speaking, we're talking about creativity here. So in this times of change in Japan, how do we look at the situation? We need a new perspective, a different perspective. That's what I think. So I think this is a very encouraging result. Maybe you can talk about your session or my session. So we're going to redefine the design. So rather than design, we're talking about new perspectives, and we've invited people with new perspectives. And I think that they will convince you that you can look at the world in a different way. Professor Ito? So the result, I think it changed because, probably because you added design to art. I think last year you asked comparing science and art, or science and engineering and design. So there were 4 answers, and I think the conclusion was that you need to do all 4. Now we're adding to that biological metabolism. So metabolism and how that relates to city and architecture as a metaphor. So there is this kind of a cycle that we want to discuss in my session. So I hope that you will look forward to Professor Ito's session. Professor Ichikawa, I have 2 sessions tomorrow about urban development, and the keywords are global, globalization, what is happening to the cities. And we see that the landscape is becoming quite similar around the world. And what kind of uniqueness should Tokyo have? So we have art and engineering in Tokyo. But in addition to that, I think what we need is soft power in a nutshell. And so we have invited panelists to discuss that. And maybe it's not something that is physical, but how to operate the cities. Perhaps that is what defines the new city. So we'll be looking at case studies in London and New York, and what would happen in Tokyo going forward. So we'd like to provide some answers to those issues. So there will be several sessions that they have organized. And so based on the perspectives that was just outlined, and based on the result of the questionnaires, I hope you will enjoy the next 3 days program. Now, 2/3 of you think that you're superior to others. That was the most impressive result, personally speaking. So now we have the wonderful keynote sessions by Professor Negroponte and Professor Katz. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Takenaka.